said, okay, so no agreement here. We got $7 million in the bank. We know that we will have that. We didn't close the term sheet, but we had that sitting there. We'll have $7 million in the bank. We know that we can run this fast. But it came down to a thing of every major platform in the space was trying to acquire us. And these are major, major companies
really?
With serious resources behind them. We were a 25-person company, and I want to say we had 6, maybe 9 people in dev/QA.
So you're 25, 9 of those were in dev. What were you turning for revenue at that time?
I can't disclose that, unfortunately. Okay. That stuff's all protected.
No worries.
And long survives in those agreements. All right. We were doing very well that way, right? But, I sat there and I was like, does $7 million give us enough runway and even enough speed to outrun the likelihood that if these guys want to be in this category so bad, they are either going to buy somebody else, whether it's the right company or not, or they're going to build something. I'd say at that point in time, I was ignorant to large companies' abilities to build brand new software and brand new products. And I think that's a whole major lesson learned and something that could be delved into. But in most cases, large companies, it is much easier and much better for them to buy something that is proven and working and quality than starting from scratch to build something. It's a whole risk mitigation, and it's a whole different type of, group of people to architect a new solution, build a new solution, QA a new solution, beta test it, work through all the bugs, the gripes, everything else, right? So we were ignorant to that at the time, but we figured max, we've got 18 months before each one of these players goes and erodes our entire opportunity. And, so we can either raise 7 million and race against time. And hopefully we've built a big enough business that somebody either comes back with a much bigger check, or, that we've defended our position and created, what you would call a defensible moat around yourself as a business. And I'd say ignorantly at the time, we didn't believe we had that opportunity, right? These, again, major businesses. And so we said, you know what, this is a great valuation. It's a great price. We have early investors that literally 1,000x'd their investment on that sale. Everybody in the last round or in the middle round was 100x. And then I think the worst that somebody did was 10x. It was an amazing event for every investor. I felt good about it. It was a windfall for myself personally. And on that, it was, hey, this is an opportunity now to step into an enterprise sized software and technology company and learn a lot more. And so I don't regret any of that decision. I mean, hindsight now, we would have way outrun everybody. We would have outperformed everything. And I look now, a lot of those companies still aren't in this category the same way. And it's being run by other people who are now chasing it and doing very well. And I'm super happy for them. And they're all friends. And I think that, it's amazing stuff to see. We would have handily won that category. I have no doubt now. But yeah, it was a million great lessons learned, new experiences, everything else, and set us up for the opportunities that we're on now.
No, that's an amazing success story. Obviously, especially I'm amazed at the short period of time that all happened, right? Because really, in the grand scheme of life, like 4.5 years is really, think back, we're working on our 15th year of business, right? Like going, oh my goodness, 4.5 years, you did all this stuff, right? And then turn on, and all the challenges you would have had to face at growing at 200%, right? As we were talking about 200% revenue year over year, like, oh my goodness. I just can imagine the speed of everything that was happening around you.
Yeah. And we had a team of A players. What's interesting is I always called them the renegades. We did hit a point in time, but I'd say of the 25 people we had, I would say 16 or 17 of them, we were their first job, like first actual full-time job that they had ever had. Some of them had done some freelance stuff here and there, but nothing consistent, nothing crazy. And they were just people that believed, and they were gritty, and they were hardworking. And we gave them the room to perform and to do and to create and do things. And was it perfect? Not a freaking chance. Like when I say we were building tech that nobody had built, we bricked a lot of servers. Like we had agents out there on all these Active Directory servers, which are probably few and far between now, but we had to run it out there and do stuff. And we had misconfigurations that would lock people out of their client networks at times. We had, push a new version of an agent and it would blue screen the server. It was treacherous things that happened there. But no, I mean, it was very interesting what we were able to build with, on paper, the people that were as part of that business, right? I'd never done a software company really, right? I'd never built a dev team. I never created net new intellectual property and all of that type of stuff and navigated headwinds of, cloud SaaS business and global. I mean, we were in 30 something countries. We had customers in, it was like nothing at that scale. We had, I want to say last I had checked, when we owned it, there was 160,000 businesses in that solution, right? Like nothing at that scale before. So, I mean, it was amazing for what we built, but it just was a testament to, A players and giving people a chance and finding the right people and just perseverance and pushing through on that stuff. But yeah, it was a remarkable journey.
Yeah, I'm impressed. It sounds remarkable. And like I said, just trying to imagine, you talk about the people that really, they said this is kind of like their first full-time position working for your organization. And you say A players, I'm like, about what history were you using to identify them as an A player when you brought them in?
I was cheap. Seriously, right? Everybody, even where we live, right? So I'm in Western Canada and in Alberta, and a very predominant oil and gas economic environment here, right? It's Calgary's called Cowtown. It's farmers and oil and gas, right? Like that's what it is. So, I mean, to find somebody that builds software and wants to join a software company that's not in that industry was difficult. And so you had to go to young, fairly new grad, dynamic people that just had that twinkle in their eye of, and almost that confidence of I can build anything you ask me to build, but also enough, I wouldn't call it immaturity, but I guess greenness to them that their salary expectations weren't outlandish, right? And so yeah, I mean, that's really what it came down to was being gritty and cheap and cheerful and finding people that came in and just loved what they did.
Goodness. So you're painting this picture. You mentioned Calgary, and I have actually just booked my flights yesterday for a trip to Banff to do some backpacking this September.
Nice,
and
amazing.
So you're painting this picture where you're talking about this Cowtown. Of what to experience when I get there.
In September, I mean, won't be. I mean, we've moved along in general, but if you came in July next month, I mean, we've got our Calgary Stampede, which is all just it's rodeo and carnival and everything all just intertwined, and it's 10 days of insanity every year.
Insanity.
But yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of farming. When you drive out to Banff from Calgary, you'll see tons of farmland heading out to the mountains and the indigenous lands and stuff along the way there and stuff. But you still see some people walking around with their cowboy hats, or maybe not in the hats, but walking around in boots. But there's still modern people too, and young people that dress hip and wear normal clothes. So.
I know I'm excited to check out the beauty of Banff. I think once again, and that's my escape. And one way of usually try to do it annually, get together with some former MSPers in a sense, and some that are still in the business today, and get together and go, down a 40-pound pack and go out and live the free life for a week. So
yeah, absolutely, it's awesome.
And the fact you took chances on. I guess you took a chance on people, right? You give people opportunity. You said those you were being cheap, but you also gave these individuals opportunities that they might not have had otherwise.
Yeah, I think everybody deserves an opportunity to do stuff, right? I think lots of people took chances on me. I mean, when I moved to being the head of service delivery for the MSP I was at, so that was, well, again, it wasn't really an MSP, but the IT company, they were almost a $5 million shop, 30 some employees. I think I was 26, 25 years old. So I was probably younger than, and significantly younger than 90% of my team. Like, that's a bold move for a business to take at that time. So they took a chance on me. And when I started, the partnership MSP and then even my own, a lot of people gave me a chance and gave me a shot and gave me the benefit of the doubt. And even one of our clients that, when it was my MSP that I had taken on, one of those two, they came to a point where they acquired they did a reverse takeover of a massive organization. And I was sure that was the end of the road for me. And that company had a full IT department, and their CFO came in and said, you tell us what you need and what help you need. Do we need to keep this IT department, or can you guys take on everything? And they gave us the chance, and we said, we'll take on everything. They let go of that IT department. Everybody else, they gave us the full shot. And we were probably 6, 7 people at the time. So yeah, I've always been a believer in that. Everybody deserves an opportunity. Doesn't matter what their background is, where they came from, what challenges they have, what it looks like they can't do. If they have the right traits of, grit and determination, and you can just see it in people's eyes. I still feel that is, you can meet somebody and be like, that person could do anything. Whether they believe it or not, or whether they've done anything or not, you can just tell. And so those are the people that, I'd rather be with. I don't want to be working with somebody when some time is tough and they're like, all right, well, this isn't as cushy as I hoped. I'm going to see you later. Right. Or, hey, we're in a crisis period. And they're like, yeah, but my wife just cooked dinner and I'm going to go sit down and eat it. Right. Yeah, by all means, I want people to have that as their regular every day. But when it's crisis mode, I want the people that are like, whether I own this or not, I'm at war for this company. And those are the people that I'd rather have on my team.
No, I can appreciate that. Now, through that process, you said you can kind of see it in their eye, they have that grit. First talking about the first 2 companies, did you make any bad hires? When you look back at them, you go, oh my goodness, like what the hell was I thinking?
Oh, tons of bad hires, right? I think in some cases it was getting away from looking for the grit and hiring and getting out over our skis on stuff, right? Hiring before a business was ready for a certain role, or even not even necessarily that the business was ready for that role, but just, again, hiring somebody from their accolades of previous accomplishments or things that had allegedly been accomplished or whatever, both in this business and in the last one, and realizing that, oh, that's a person that just comes in to manage and isn't willing to get their hands dirty and isn't willing to actually run it. Like they could manage a team just fine, but hopefully this thing is all just rolling, right? And so, yeah, I mean, it's come down to that. I think at any point in any business I have now or in the future, and it doesn't matter how big it is, I will always go for grit now and willingness to dive in and do anything. I will always choose the person that will never say that's not my job versus the one that has built $1 billion whatever. I don't care if you've built all that stuff or haven't. If you start telling me what your job is and what your job isn't, there's no path for you with me. And that's just, for me, the way that it needs to be. Now,
obviously we know we're post-pandemic and we had a couple of years there where things were kind of dicey in regards to when it came to people. What kind of challenges did you face during that time? We know what our peers have faced, and how did you overcome those when it comes to people and hiring for grit?
Yeah, I think, so we had scaled up. I mean, this business this current one was it's a COVID baby.
Okay.
Right? It was started during COVID in late 2020. And, I think we did a lot of the right things, and we were forced and wanted to be fully remote, fully distributed and stuff like that. We saw some really great early success. With that success, coupled with, past exits and success, became very attractive during an investment bubble and venture capital bubble. So we raised, a significant amount of money, and we scaled up big, and we hired a ton of people. And, some of those were the absolute right people, and some of them were the absolute wrong people. But when all the economic headwinds came in after the recession, when there was this, or after the pandemic, and there was this massive looming recession, everything changed economically, globally, in the investment world and venture capital world. And as much of a darling as we were, based on how many free customers we were getting and the technology we were building and the opportunity and the pace that we were running at, it wasn't the same investable business. So we had to pivot hard as a company and protect the company, so that we had the runway and survivability and sustainability. And so, we had to let go a lot of the people, some of the ones that made a lot of sense to let go and probably never should have been hired anyways. And a lot of that, I, to this day, wish that they were still on this team. And able to contribute the way that only they can contribute. But there's a number of other businesses now that have the fortune of having those people driving their companies and stuff too. But yeah, no secret, we halved the company in November of 2022. And we halved the company again in a year ago, July last year. Sheer necessity. It was the right thing to do. It's what we absolutely had to do. But it's one of those things now where, we leaned out the business, we stabilized the business. We're in a good position now and moving forward, and growth is coming along very nicely. But yeah, you definitely learn a lot around, growing a business or making decisions in the business based on the merit of what the business is and what the current situation is, right? And not ever being, I wouldn't say we were irresponsible, but less diligent with capital, right? I think you decide to make hires earlier than planned, because the right person maybe appeared and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Opportunistically, I think there's still considerations for that. But in most cases, unless I can justify that role at this point in time, I will not make that hire again, type of thing, right? So yeah, I think a lot more appreciation for recognizing where business is and what a business needs at any point in time, and focusing on that, and just always running a good, viable business by a definition of what a good, strong business is, not by what a business could be.
Hi, I'm Mark Thomas, founder and CEO of Current Tech Solutions and Cyber Guardians. If you or someone you know could benefit from our cutting-edge IT and cybersecurity services, we'd love to help. Our expertise in securing your business with AI precision ensures that you're protected and empowered to thrive. Reach out to us today to learn how we can secure and elevate your business.